welcome to the Police and Fire Commission. It's on. Welcome to the Police and Fire Commission meeting for the City of Fitchburg for December 15th, 2021. The meeting to order. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from November 17th. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes? And are there any questions or concerns with them? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes from November 17th, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks. And just in regards to the buttons and hitting them, we haven't been here for a whole month, which is unusual for us, so we're out of practice.
I'm out of practice.
All right, so the next order of business is public appearances and non-agenda items. Does anybody have any? There aren't any public appearances, and there aren't any on Zoom. Okay. Hearing none, the next item up is the report from the police department. Chief?
Good evening, everyone. As far as stepping into the staffing report, there are some changes. Numbers-wise, we're still short one position of police officer. If you notice that for 2021, we'll have 6 people that are eligible for retirement. There was one announcement today, and I don't know if it would be proper to discuss some of the actions thereof in, in closed session? But, I'm sorry, did I push? Yeah, I did. So, basically, I'd like to discuss some of those opportunities of some of the processes that are going to be occurring in 2022 regarding the processes that are up and coming for you to be aware of. Nothing to ask for permission to start today, just more of awareness of what's coming in 2022. As far as hirees, we have 3 conditional offers. The 3 conditional offers were extended. Is it appropriate to say the names?
They haven't finished the psychological yet, so they're still not final until we get all of the results back. So I don't know if we'll want to share the names yet until we get that final.
Gotcha. I'll give you a little background on each one, if that's okay with no names. One of them is a native to Janesville. He served in the Army for 8 years and did get some promotional ranks in that level, some leadership training, as I stated earlier in the prior session. I think he's going to be a good improvement if everything goes well, or a good addition to the Fitchburg Police Department. What I do like about this is we do have a variety. We have a new person with great lifetime experiences. The second person is already a police officer in another state, moving up to the area of Madison for family reasons and a growing family for him and his spouse. He does have police officer experience, does know the Dane County area, and would also be a good addition to the Fitchburg Police Department. We have the third recommendation is going to be somebody with no police experience, a very young individual, but shows a great work ethic, been working since 14 years of age, a native of the Madison area, has an associate's degree in criminal justice, and is showing great potential. It would show the age difference, but also what I'd like to see further is I think these individuals will be committed to the organization for a long-term hire, and that's what I like to see. A long-term career, I mean.
And I think we can anticipate probably next month getting official announcements on those 3, dependent upon, obviously,
Yes.
Passing psychological. So, all right. Thank you, Chief. And that's the update on the new police officers. Any questions from the council or commission on that?
Okay.
Chief, do you have a sense of how many order-ins there were for the past month?
As far as the numbers that I've been looking, I was not updated on them, but they're very similar to just the summer, the order-ins. Once staffing obtained with the new, the officers on field training, the staffing levels and some individuals that were off on extended leave have returned, so the staffing is filling up, and I don't believe we've had any since the last time we met.
Will, I do have a question. Will, with these 3 new hires, will we still be short one? Did you include those in, or will we be fully staffed and over then?
We'll be fully staffed for a temporary period, which is what I would discuss in the closed session.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, and I just want to confirm, there's no closed session for the police department today, but in the next Police
gotcha.
and Fire Commission meeting, we can definitely talk about that.
Oh, I got you. Thank you.
And just so for our own edification, and I agree we should talk about that next time in closed session. And you'd mentioned talking about that in closed session based on the staffing report and the announcement of a retirement. So I'm assuming that conversation is really about sort of what we're going to be projected maybe to be asked to open up for police positions?
That is correct.
Okay, very good. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Next item up is report from the fire department.
Good evening. Are you all ready for a winter weather wind event? So I apologize for my tardiness. We were just trying to stay on track for some of the things that are happening in the county, as well as things we might need to prepare for locally with this wind. It'll be interesting to watch, but that's not on the agenda. My report is giving you an idea of what we're doing. Numbers are consistent. We're up about 13% this month for calls and service based on what we saw in previous years. Structure fires, we haven't had a lot of those, and we typically don't in the way of those that are working fires to the point where we call in mutual aid. But our call volume is consistent with all the rest of the stuff that we see. So although structure fires have a tendency of going down with appropriate fire prevention, the rest of it doesn't, and that's EMS and rescue and technical applications. Our inspections, we're on task for completing those on time, a lot better than we were last year with COVID. And then as far as our staffing, we are running a recruitment right now, or applications are open for our paid on premises firefighters. We won't be opening up the career option until next year. We'll bring that in front of you as far as what we're going to be able to do with that process. But our head count is consistent with what we've seen in the past, and the trend is the same as far as our paid on premises, our part-time folks are just not recruiting at the same level that they once did. So a lot of things that we have to consider moving forward as far as what the staffing looks like and how we can accommodate a growing community. Some of the things that you'll hear about today is the probation employees, the employees that were requesting to come off of probation. That'll be in closed session. And then as far as overtime is concerned, I ran those numbers this year. For our entire personnel, we had about 545 hours of overtime. Of that, 200 of those hours were career staff. As compared to last year, we had 442 hours of overtime in November. 178 of those were career staff. And overtime numbers for 2019, which wasn't a COVID year, 645 hours of overtime, 307 of those were career staff. In this last pay period, we did not have any mandates, so all of those overtime hours were filled at their discretion.
And Chief, for those numbers, are those all November numbers? So 545 hours of November overtime, 2020, it was 442 hours in November, and then 2019 was 645 hours of overtime, all in November.
Correct, the two pay periods. Now, some of those overlap into December, might be a little bit shy of November.
Gotcha.
But it's two pay periods in November.
Great.
Our budget, it's on budget, so we anticipate overtime. Obviously, where that runs into a non-monetary issue is the overall tax on the firefighter and the requirement that we need people to cover those spots. So there's a personnel issue, obviously, if we continually ask our firefighters to cover overtime. But from a budget standpoint, we're on task.
Chief, I see the inspections went up significantly in the month of November. Is that due to additional staffing or redirected staffing?
I think that's last-minute planning on behalf of the inspectors. So they're getting their inspections in before the end of the year, and there was a couple of them that they needed to do before the end of the year, and that's the uptick.
And is that typical?
It is typical. It really is based on some other things that have happened throughout the year, training. It could be that they thought they would be able to get certain inspections in the previous 5 months because we run on a 6-month rotation. Typically, some of our occupancies require 2 inspections a year. So during those 6 months, they try to even it out so they're not doing too many inspections at one time. But if they find that they're running behind, they have to pick it up.
Chief, are your inspectors also doing investigations when you have certain fires and such, so that pulls them away from their inspections? I mean, they have a lot of other duties besides just inspections.
Some of them are. We have a select list of people who have been trained as investigators. So those investigators could be coming from either our firefighter staff or from our support services staff. Typically, those that have been in the fire service before do not want to run out on an emergency basis, but have had that arson or investigation level training, and we're still able to use it.
Thank you.
Okay, other items on the staffing report? Questions? All right. Next item is authorization to start a fire science intern recruitment.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I've got to bring up the outline here. The importance for bringing this in front of you is because of the fact that we want to be one of the first in the area to start our process. There are other departments that run intern programs, and if they get a commitment from a high school student, we are not likely to have our choice of the students that have the best potential of succeeding in the fire service. So a couple of things that are in front of you, we have our operating policy for hiring. It gives you an idea of what those timelines will look like. And then that's open for discussion. We obviously don't necessarily want to presuppose some of the things that you would like to see in that process. This just gives us a place to start from. So it would start out with going out and recruiting. We're already trying to recruit some of the candidates that show the most promise or the most initiative, and that's by going out to the tech schools and finding those kids that have the aptitude or at least the initiative to do well in the programs that they're involved in right now. In addition to that, we identify the needs with you, the PFC. We typically hire 3 interns a year unless we have vacancies within our other intern ranks, and right now there are none. And then we start that application process, which is typically at the end of January. We'll work with HR to post vacancies and to make sure that the application process is appropriate and runs according to the outline. And then we close applications, review them, and then interview the candidates. And hopefully all of that is done right around March. And we would set specific dates. The policy that's in front of you is, like I said, intended to be a template. Then we present our recommendations to you. We want to get this done hopefully in March so that we can give them ample notice to be able to start thinking about what life looks like after high school, and that it's going to involve living at the fire station. We'll schedule ride-alongs, they'll meet with me, and all of that's just to get to know them a little bit better and to give them an opportunity to ask questions of our existing staff, our existing interns, and to have some reference, some point of contact with the fire department. If there are no issues with all of that, we offer the conditional offer, we do the backgrounds, we do all of those things that are required to make sure that they are not disqualified from service. And then we give them their actual offer once those conditions are met. And then it's really a matter of identifying start date and those types of things. But it gives you an idea of what those dates are going to be. And if you have no issues with us selecting something along these timelines, I think that's the direction we would like to continue. Yes?
Yeah.
We're aware that you did your dissertation around this topic.
Yes.
And I'd like to know, in this recruitment process, what have you done different to improve the diversity in the department? If there's anything that you will implement from what you learned.
Well, one of the first things that we did is our open houses, we took those out of the fire stations and we moved those into the neighborhoods, trying to get a little bit more exposure with the kids that represent our diverse populations. I think that was a first step. I think the more that we do that and the more that they grow accustomed to us being in the neighborhoods, we'll get more questions. We'll establish that level of trust that's needed between public safety and with the community. In addition to that, we have used our existing interns to reach out to kids who maybe resemble a similar interest level that they did, and try to get in front of those questions and get them through the door so that they can do something like a tour, and really get into the fire department to establish that level of trust. We found that a lot of times it's really just a matter of shaking some hands and making sure they know that they're welcome to initiate that process. I likened it to me going to an environment that I'm not comfortable with, but if somebody shakes my hand, takes me through, introduces me to people, I'm going to be a lot more comfortable in that environment, and we're trying to do the same. So those are just some of the things that we started. COVID is still very much a real thing, especially in Dane County. So what we had intended to do with outreach over the summer, we were unable to do this year. But I do think that one of the things that we would like to still explore, especially with people like the athletic directors in the area, is summer workouts for all of their high school athletes, to be able to bring them in and have some discussions about how the work that we do resembles the teamwork that they already participate in, and maybe just provide that gentle exposure and give them a sense of belonging so that they do introduce themselves and bring themselves into the fire station on their own accord and really not with our prompting them. That's the goal anyway.
And then I'll just kind of piggyback on that. What about any of the youth organizations? Do you reach out, do you connect with them that are here, Big Brothers, Big Sister, Boys and Girls Club? Anyone else around here that, I mean, even if it's a flyer, even if it's a meet and greet, even if it's, I know Boys and Girls Club is really pursuing a strong campaign as far as the trades. Mm-hmm. And I think that'd be a great match and a great opportunity to introduce and have a working relationship going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. We were really close to establishing something with the Boys and Girls Club, and there was a change in the point of contact. So that sort of fell through. It's still something that we very much see as being an asset, especially if it's so close to Fitchburg. And now with the new building that they're putting up in Fitchburg that addresses the trades, which isn't necessarily specific to public safety, it's more building trades, but it's definitely worth reaching out and establishing that contact. I think that will serve us just as much as the building trades. I don't think that they'd have the facilities to be able to educate their participants in public safety, but we could absolutely help with making those connections with MATC and things like that. So we also worked a little bit with Briar Patch, trying to bring kids in. So it's a matter of finding the right candidates, the ones that really want to do it, and the ones that show the most promise, and sort of building on that excitement to keep them engaged.
Other questions about the recruitment process?
So if I recall, we've seen this internal policy from the Fitchburg Fire Department earlier this year, I think. And we didn't necessarily adopt it ourselves as a PFC rule. But this is essentially your proposed timeline to us for the fire service interns. That's included in the policy in the packet.
Yeah, so what it does is it takes the rules that have been established by the Police and Fire Commission and gives us something to work off of when we start that process, so that we make sure that we're hitting all of those topics that need to be hit when we do go through the hiring and recruitment process.
Great. Okay.
Yep. And to that, I mean, I like the way you have this laid out, because you actually referenced the rules that we have established. So I guess a couple of questions. The job announcement, is it going to be similar to what we do for police officers in regards to the same outlets that you go to?
Yeah, we'll definitely work together on a big listing of where we're going to share the job posting. But yeah, we try to really spread the word on these openings, and try to make them clear job postings and make sure there's no barriers in those qualifications that don't need to be there.
Okay.
And we put that out to the state too. A couple of our interns right now, I've got one from West Bend, I've got one from Allenton. So they're not all Dane County centric.
Okay.
We're reaching out, trying to make sure that we're addressing the fact that there's a need for this level of service, and hopefully more fire departments jump on board and make this available. But right now, as long as we're one of them, I'm going to take advantage of the best candidates, if at all possible.
And then as far as the process itself that you have laid out here, so this is for an intern positions, and I think you're asking us to sort of agree to open up a recruitment process to potentially get 3 recruits, correct?
Correct, because these interns are indeed firefighters. They are sworn positions, and they will operate in the capacity of firefighter. So it is absolutely something that you need to approve.
And so, and to that end, the interview panel itself, so all of these steps will be followed for this, even though they're in.
Correct.
Okay. Very good. That's all. Yeah.
A reaction to what you just said regarding the recruitment outside of Dane County. Are you getting candidates from here, from high school?
We are, but what we found is that unless college or high school counselors are aware of the programs, a lot of these kids haven't necessarily established themselves to be able to start the program upon their graduation. So we are reaching out to some kids that already have the certifications, who have received them through their high school programs. That is something that I think we're getting better at in Dane County, and we haven't necessarily had a problem with having Dane County representation. We haven't always had Fitchburg representation, because as of present, the only Fitchburg school district that's offering the school to work program is Oregon. Madison West isn't, and Verona hasn't. And those that are actually coming from Verona have a tendency of going to the Verona Fire Department.
Just a gut reaction, something to work on, because I kind of feel like, let's see if we can get our kids from this county interested in the fire department. at the same time, I don't want to exclude other people if we're not getting the candidates that we need, so.
No,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, though. I mean, they have roots here, right? So it may make sense.
It does make sense to grab locally. We've had some very good candidates come from outside the area, though, and it's not based on the fact that we didn't try to find really good candidates here.
All right. Other questions in regards to the process or anything we're being asked here? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll move to open a recruitment process for 3 fire service interns along the timeline that the chief has outlined.
Second?
A second, okay. All in favor of approving the recruitment process for intern for the fire department? Raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good, thank you. Next order of business is to go into closed session. Can someone take us into closed session, please?
.85, parent 1, parent C of the Wisconsin statutes. The commission will move into closed session for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, more specifically to remove the probationary status of 3 paid on-call firefighters.
And do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor of moving into closed session? Raise your hand and say aye.
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 Aye. And closed session.